Sound test. It's not too bad. Mochiru, good luck this Thursday. I think majority of the guys are doing it on Tuesday. Yep, let's see what they come up with this year. Alright guys, it's 9 o'clock, so let's get the show going. So basically I've been a bit busy with a few things, so what's going to happen today is these are the 7 questions that I want to focus on today. I know I'm spending a lot of time coming back to exponentials because basically a few people have asked for questions on simultaneous equations. Now, I'm being honest here, it's a lot easier to come up with these types of questions than the word questions, because the word questions take me a lot of time to actually create. But for those of you guys that have actually been sending me questions, it's been awesome, because every time I get a chance I actually make a video. And yeah, so as for the rest of the tutorials for MCAT, I'll run one tomorrow night, so definitely tomorrow night. But tomorrow I might do it slightly different, where I know there's going to be a lot more people coming in tomorrow night, so I'm just mindful of that. So I might just do some couple of word questions and just a couple of random questions. Maybe if I have time, I might actually I'll just write a paper and just get you guys, I'll actually do a work through of the questions. So Harry, I'm not the best person to explain stats. I mean, like I'm okay at it, but no, I don't do the stats side of things, man. Sorry. Mainly stick with algebra and calculus. LOLs, I have no idea what they do. Like I said to you guys before, I've actually stopped doing it in my school with my students. Yeah, so that's basically it. Obey, I'm just doing this because I know there's a lot of people that are stressed out, man. That's why I do this. Theoretically, I don't really need to be doing this because none of my students are actually doing this exam. The MCAT paper, honestly, we've had so many discussions about it year after year, Grant, about it. But look, what I'm going to do is, I know it's kind of a couple of minutes in, and these are the questions I want to go through. I'll actually answer more questions towards the end, guys. I'll always hang around at the end for the last 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes just to hang out. Yeah, I think, Sarah, people can, as long as they do it on that, what do you call it? Do it on the day, then it's actually fine. No, I have not seen the MCAT. All right, guys. Okay, let's get going, because I know the reason I put up these 7 questions is because if people want to get a bit of a head start to it, they can just take the screenshot of it and just kind of start working through it. Also, one more thing for the people that are joining at the moment, I know I've got some basic etiquette, which is basically if you guys can just keep the chat for questions, please, because at the moment, teaching 30 kids is hard. Right now I got about 65 people here. It just makes it a bit more challenging when people have questions. Yeah, so definitely what I'll do is after each question, I will kind of answer questions. So yeah, if you can keep the chat a bit free, please. Okay, let's get started with question 1. So question 1 here, we talked about these types of questions coming up, and once again I've actually created a few more questions like this series, but I've also got a couple of bit of curveballs in there for you guys, just for those guys that have been actually watching from the beginning. So anyway, first idea is that we've got 2, 4, and 128. So we know that we can actually rewrite this with base 2. So always remember, whenever you see questions like this, in the side, as usual, I'm going to go 2 to the power of 1 is 2. Then I've got 2 squared is 4. 2 cubed is 8. 2 to the power of 4 is 16. 2 to the power of 5 is 32. 2 to the power of 6 is 64. And 2 to the power of 7 is 128. Now I think 256 is the max. They actually, I mean, anything more than that, it's just kind of expecting you guys to remember. But I would say, like, just remember those numbers: 256, 512. But I don't think I've actually seen them go anything higher than that. Okay, so now that we've actually got that, we're going to get rid of the 4, because we know that 4 could be written as 2 squared, and we're going to get rid of the 128 as 2 to the power of 7. So this question, I'm going to rewrite it as 2 to the power of 2x plus 1 multiplied by, instead of 4, I'm going to put 2 squared to the power of x minus 1, and then this is equal to 128, which is 2 to the power of 7. So remember that 2 to the power of 7 is same as 128, and 4 is just 2 squared. So once we do that, we write down 2 to the power of 2x plus 1. We don't really do anything to it, we just leave it as it is. But remember that especially with this thing here, and this is where people make mistakes, that's why I've actually put this x minus 1 outside. When you do powers of powers, you're actually multiplying everything. So just make sure you put a bracket around it. And when you put a bracket around it, you're going to get 2 to the power of 2 times x minus 1 equals 2 to the power of 7. So then you've got 2 to the power of 2x plus 1 multiplied by 2 to the power of, now you got 2 times x, which is 2x, and then you got 2 times negative 1, which equals to negative 2. And this is all equal to 2 to the power of 7. So at this point, because the bases are the same, what we could do is we could actually add the 2 powers together. And so when we do that, we're going to get 2 to the power of 2x plus 1 plus 2x minus 2 equals 2 to the power of 7. And then we can write this as 2 to the power of 4x minus 1 equals 2 to the power of 7. And I think this is the place where we want to be, because right now we have the 2 bases, they are the same, which means the 2 powers are going to equal each other. It's almost like saying we can just ignore the bases and just write the powers by themselves. So we're going to get 4x minus 1 equals 7, and then when we rearrange it, we're going to get 4x is equal to 7 plus 1, and we get 4x is equal to 8. So simplifying this, we're going to get x equals to 8, not simplifying, solving it actually. 8 divided by 4, and we get a final answer of x is equal to 2. No worries, Darius, you're welcome. Obey, nah man, it's all good, man, just trying to help people. Cody, I work at Ormiston Senior College. What else? Cool. So if you guys have any questions on that first question here, feel free to ask. Also remember, guys, all of these notes are available for you guys right now. There is a link downstairs called Notebook in my description. If you actually go into that notebook, and I'll show you guys where it is, you should see something like this. It will be, let me see if the mouse actually works. Whoops, sorry. My mouse is going crazy, but here we go. So you can go into tutorials level 1, and I think it's the last level 1 MCAT 15th of September tutorial. So this document is actually live, so you guys can actually see it in another window if you want to, if I'm going too fast here. Now, a question here. Yes, there'll be a tutorial tomorrow. Why don't you multiply the basis like make it 4? Makita, Fenwick, where are you talking about? About multiplying it and make it 4? Are you talking about it right at the beginning? Now, I reckon this will be an excellence question. Would it be an excellence question? Let me just see. You've got, well, maybe borderline between merit and excellence. Nickel. Yeah, sometimes, mate. But it's just, people have different styles of learning. So yeah. Major beats, I'm not sure, man. I would toss it up between merit and excellence, this one. Revish. Basically, if you want simultaneous equations, as I was mentioning before, you've got to actually send me some questions, man, because it's really hard for me to create questions, word questions from scratch. Yeah, Makita, you can't actually do that at the beginning because let me just show you something just to kind of give you an idea. You can only multiply those two numbers together if it is if the powers are the same. Like, I'll show you what I mean by. So basically, if you have something like this, say you've got 2 to the power of x times 3 to the power of x, then this you can actually write it as 6 to the power of x. The reason is because the two powers are the same. However, if the same question looks like this, 2 to the power of x times 3 to the power of x plus 1, you can't do anything with it. Like, you literally just leave it as it is. You can't actually combine it. You can't write this as 6 2x plus 1. That's actually incorrect. So hopefully that answered your question, Makita. All right. If the powers are different, then you've got to actually combine them. And if the bases are the same, then you can add and subtract. But hopefully that gives you an idea. Consecutive numbers, Kimberly. Yeah, we can have a look at a few questions. Oh, man. Here we go. Johnster. Yeah, I'm not sure, man. I mean, I made up this question, so I reckon it's bordering between merit and excellence. Yes, I'll be doing another live stream tomorrow. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as well, merit as well. All right, what else do we have? Okay, guys, I'm just trying to keep up with the I'm just trying to keep up with the messages at the moment. There's a lot on. Sweet, got that. Hey guys, I'm just gonna ask a big favor because I know it's I'm trying to help people out. If you could just stop spamming the chat, please, because it's really hard for me to keep up with people's questions and read random things here. Okay, sorry, I'm just kind of cleaning up the chat at the moment. All right, let's go to the next question. So we got 2 questions lined up like this. No, I'm not. It's not making me unhappy, man. It's just, it's a bit hard to handle so many kind of messages. Anyway, let's get going with question number 2 here. Now, I've actually put up question number 2 and 3 kind of side by side because I'll show you guys how to do question 2 first, and then we'll have a look at question 3. So remember I talked to you guys earlier before how you've got the number 3 and 27 here. So what you could do is you could potentially just write down the powers of 3 next to it. So you got 3 to the power of 1 is 3, 3 squared is 9, 3 to the power of 3 is 27. So we can write this as 3x squared minus 2x, and instead of 27, sorry, forgot the pen. So instead of 27, I can rewrite this as 3 to the power of 3. So once we actually do that, then we can actually say the two powers are the same. Because the two powers are the same, we can actually kind of just ignore the basis and just rewrite this as x squared minus 2x is equal to 3. Jonathan, it really depends on what time my kid actually goes to sleep, man. Because I mean, today he went to sleep at 8:45, so yeah, I can't actually do any streaming until I put him to bed. Anyway, let's keep going with this question. Rearrange it. So we're going to get x squared minus 2x minus 3 is equal to 0. And what you should see is it's a quadratic here. So it's not a crazy quadratic, because you're looking for two numbers that multiply to minus 3 and add up to minus 2. So that's going to be negative 3 and positive 1. Now, what we're going to do though is we've actually got to solve for both of these, because you got x minus 3 equals to 0, or x plus 1 is equal to 0. So in the first case, you've got x is equal to 3, and in the second case, you got x equals to negative 1. Now, really interesting, because I'm actually seeing a couple of answers here where people are going negative 3 or 1 or not. I would actually put this as another kind of like this borderline merit excellence questions, because this question is from last year, and I think the only difference is I changed it up. So instead of equals, there was a less than symbol for last year. But yeah, so I mean, I would actually put this as a merit. But now I know that someone actually method, yeah, Lil Putri, you put it as can't have negative exponents. Well, in this particular question, just remember, it's always a good idea to actually put the powers in just to check them, because this one, both of them actually work, because we know positive 3 works, because we can actually go 3 to the power of, what was it? Was it x squared minus 2x? So it's going to be 3 squared minus 2 times 3, which equals to 3 to the power of 9 minus 6, which is 3 to the power of 3, which is 27. So that 3 works out fine. But when we try it with x equals negative 1, just double check whether it actually works or not. You got negative 1 squared minus 2 multiplied by negative 1. So what you get is 3. Negative 1 squared is positive 1. And then negative 2 times negative 1 is positive 2. So you actually do get 3 to the power of 3, 27. So the answer for this one is you've actually got both of them as the answers, which is x equals 3 or x equals negative 1. Taranjot, wait, never mind, negative 1. Okay, so I know a couple of people are putting the less than on negative symbol. Just be careful, guys, because that's if the question actually looked like this, and I'll show you guys below. So if the question looked like this, where you had 3x squared minus 2x is less than 27. So the previous one we did was equals, right? If it did look like this, if it was less than 27, then you still do the same thing. You still kind of go through, find the two answers, and you get like x is equal to 3 and x equals to negative 1. The only difference is that quadratic that you have there would look like this. X squared minus 2x minus 3 is less than 0. So if the question actually looked like this, where it's less than 27, what your quadratic would then look like is this. But because we actually found what our two answers are, I mean, we did find them in the previous question, so that's why I'm kind of going through it real quickly. What you've got here is you've got a positive parabola. So the positive parabola looks like this. And we want to know when it's actually less than 0. So 0 is going to be there. And the two values that we found, which was positive 3 and negative 1, is there. And because we're looking for less than 0, it's going to be this. And so the answer would end up being between negative 1 and 3. Okay, so notice the two differences that you guys get. Like if it actually said equals, then you get like two direct solutions. But if you have an inequality, then your answer will most likely have an inequality in it. Into the quadratic for 2x. Ultimate, I'm not understanding your question there. Where you said like, how come you don't put x minus 3 or x plus 1 into quadratic for 2x? Just yeah, I'm not sure I understand your question there, Ultimate. Could there be a time where only one answer is valid? Kushi, yes, there is. That's when you're dealing with quadratic equations and when you're dealing with factors in the denominator. So remember, guys, for some questions you end up with denominators where x is in the denominator, and if it does happen, you've got to make sure that the denominator can't equal to 0. So that only works with quadratics, not with as many times I've seen it with exponentials. Can you please do the checking part again? So are you talking about this here, ASU Pro? Now the checking part, all I did was like I just put the two values in the equation just to see whether it was 27, that's all. Nickel, no you don't, but generally it's a good practice to kind of like just check if they work, but in level 1 MCAT is not as important except for a couple of questions where I was talking about earlier, like when they have like denominators with quadratics in the denominators. All right. All right, where are we? All right, let's, no, I didn't miss that. Question is not an inequality, that's what we're not used to. Yeah. What if the sign was opposite? AV Beck, good question. If the sign was opposite, so same question, but if it actually looked like this. So for example, if we had 3 to the power of x squared minus 2x is greater than 27, then what happens is we still get our two solutions, which will end up being x equals to 3 or x equals to negative 1. But what happens with our quadratic is it would look like this. And because it looks like this, we still got a positive parabola. And we're going to get our line that's 0, which looks like this. And our value, which is negative 1 and 3, are the 2 points where they cut off. But because we're looking for greater than 0, it's going to be these two things. These two sides of the parabola. And so the answer for this would actually end up being looking like this. X is less than negative 1, or x is greater than 3. Hope that helps, AEV not back. All right. let's see, what else is here? Lucky, writing 3 greater than x negative 1 is exactly the same, right? Yes, that is fine, Lucky. I think ultimate means when you split it. Oh, sorry, ultimate. Yeah, that question that you asked, that actually comes when x squared, when the value for x squared, like the number in front of x squared, is bigger than 1. That's when you do it. Marie Sophia, hey, the only time you actually change the sign is when you divide by a negative number. Jonathan, you don't need to actually test it in this case, not when we're doing inequalities. Amy, on the 1st of September, I ran a tutorial for quadratics with greater than 0 and less than 0. It was a live stream, so just have a look at it, just to help out with why we actually do the graphs. Yeah, we always cancel the bases if the bases are the same on both sides. All right, gonna go to the next question, guys. Just whoa! I didn't realize there's so many messages here. Okay, I'm actually gonna skip the messages for now, folks, because I just can't keep up with the messages, guys, because there's just too much happening here. So I'm gonna go to the next question. All right. So next question is this one. There's a reason why I've actually put question number 3 here. So have a go with this one. Just remember that there is a yes. I know you're looking at that final number. It is actually equal to 1. Okay, I'm gonna kind of start doing this question because I know if people are stuck in this, then it's all right. Now, guys, there's a reason why I put this question, because I've not seen a question like this come up before in MCAT, and knowing the MCAT guys, they always try to get one over us, like a little trick question or something like this. And in this one, you're looking at this and going, how am I supposed to actually start this? Because I can't really write 7 to the as well, 7 to the power of 1 is 7. But also remember one important thing. Any number you take, and if you raise it to the power of 0, it's going to become 1. So if I take like 6 to the power of 0, that's 1. 7 to the power of 0 is also equal to 1. So this question is going to be 7 to the power of x squared minus 16 equals 7 to the power of 0. All right, and because it's 7 to the power of 0, we can actually say the two powers are equal to each other. That means we can forget about the basis, and we have x squared minus 16 equals to 0. And that's a nice quadratic to work with, which means we've got x minus 4, x plus 4 equals to 0. Therefore, x is equal to, well, actually, no, just going to do that one again. So we've got x minus 4 equals to 0, or x plus 4 equals to 0. So in this case, we've got x equals positive 4. And in the second case, x equals to negative 4. So you get 2 answers for this question, guys, not just one answer. I know some people have put just x equals to 4. Make sure you have the negative 4 as well, because there's actually 2 answers for this question number 3. Andrew Kim, I just make up these questions, man, about 10 minutes before I started the tutorial. Nickel, we actually make that into a quadratic. So by keeping the bases the same, we end up like the bases disappear, and then we just kind of go, well, the powers are equal to each other, which ends up being a quadratic with difference of two squares, and then we can kind of just do it. All right, let's go to question 4. Question 4 is definitely an excellence question. Now, those of you, I know there's like heaps of people that have actually kind of joined at the moment. Even though this is an excellence question, folks, just doing a couple of steps can actually get you to a merit level. So have a look at question number 4. I think I just made one mistake there. So this is question number 4. And have a go with this, because I'll give you guys a couple of minutes to go through it and then see if I can answer some questions. Photo math. I really need to have a look at what it is. You're welcome, Ethan. Ube. Always remember, man, when you square root a number, you're going to get a positive version and a negative version. So if you take square root of 16, you're going to get plus or minus 4. Too little 4, then change 4 to too little 2. Ultimate, it's too little 3, not too little 4. Good mistake you made, mate, because look, 2 to the power of 2 little 4 is actually 16, because 2 little 4 is saying, well, I can't believe I'm actually saying 2 little 4. It's actually 2 to the power of 4. It's 2 times 2 times 2, which actually equals to 16. But 2 to the power of 3 is 2 times 2 times 2, which equals to 8. Bright, if we did square root of 16, would it be marked wrong? Yes, because you're still not giving two answers. You have to give two answers. But if you write down plus or minus square root of 16 for that answer, then that's fine. So I'm talking to you, Bright. So if you had actually written like x is equal to square root of 16, then that's not accepted. But if you actually wrote x equals to plus or minus square root of 16, then that's fine, because you're actually giving us two answers. All right, guys, let's get through with this question here. So 8, as we were talking about before earlier, that it is equal to 2 to the power of 3, multiplied by 2 to the power of x plus 1, and it's less than, now 4 is 2 to the power of 2, and of course we got to the power of x as is. So at this point, I need, because the two bases are the same, I can add the powers. And when I add the powers, I'm going to get 2 to the power of 3 plus x plus 1 less than. And it's got powers of powers. Just realized what happened. Wow, sorry. Give me a second. Let me just fix that. And because we got powers of powers, we can write this as 2 to the power of 2 times x, which is 2x. So what we've got here is 2 to the power of x plus 4 is less than 2 to the power of 2x. Then, because the two bases are the same, we can kind of ignore the two bases and just write the powers as they are. So we're going to get x plus 4 is less than 2x. And if we were going to do this, I actually want to see what people have actually put down for answers. Yeah, you got to get x is greater than 4. Now what you can do is you can actually move just the x to the other side, and you're going to end up with 2x minus x, which means 4 is less than positive x. Timesing by 2 by 8. Marie Sophie, you can't actually multiply 8 times 2 in question number 4 because you can only do that, as I said mentioned earlier in the tutorial. You can only do that if the powers are the same. In this case, 8 actually has a power of 1, so we can't really multiply 8 times 2 like that. So got to be careful with that. Yep, Zayden, Kimberly, that's all good. Annabelle, we did do this last year. I did it last year. Only 2 sessions though. Silish, I'll try, man. Like, honestly, depends on how much leeway I get from my wife because, I usually put my son to sleep. So we'll see. Unless he gets to sleep early, then it's all good. Why, Amanda, the reason we put 2 to the power of 2 is because we're replacing 4 with 2 to the power of 2. You're welcome, Sam. No worries. Yes, Mohammed. Sorry, mate. Next question, guys. I'm just going to put it up here. Let me just do it like this so you guys can actually carry on while I answer some questions. Sorry, Henry. Just cleaning up some messages here. Yeah, Dr. Mystic, don't worry, man. Just keep practicing, and then eventually you'll get eventually you get the hang of it. Thanks, Thomas. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, I think I'll have a look at it, Xavier, for photomath. How do we know where to move the x? Kimberly, okay, I'll show this number question. I know if people are working on question 5, but I'm going to show question 4 with another way. Basically from this step here. So, Kimberly, just to give you an idea, all right? If you decided to actually keep the x on the left-hand side, right? So if you kept the x on the left-hand side, then what happens is you're going to end up with x. 2x actually comes to the left-hand side, which means it becomes minus 2x. The symbol stays the same. Plus 4 goes to the other side to become minus 4. Forgot that x. So now x minus 2x is negative x. So you got negative x. Negative x is less than negative 4. And because we've got to have positive x on the left-hand side, I'm going to divide the other side by negative 1. And because I'm dividing by negative 1, I have to change the sign, which means I end up with my final answer of x is bigger than positive 4. So it's the same thing as what we did here, but that obviously the first method we did took only like 3 lines to do. Long story, Toy, that one. Long story. CGB, I do teach. I am a teacher. Only the thing is, in my school, we're not actually doing the MCAT, so I'm just doing this here for helping out people, man. Amanda, did you get that 2 to the power of 2x part? We basically, Amanda, the whole point of that question is that we write all the numbers with 2 to the power of something. Thanks, Taranjot, for clearing that out. This question, because it's a linear question, I would probably say, oh man, yeah, bordering between merit, I would say. Zayden, last year, I think I hit 436 last year. That was crazy. I couldn't keep up with the comments. I just kind of like shut off the comments and just kind of worked on the questions by myself. Scroll up. Obey, as I mentioned, man, you can get these notes on, just go to the description. There's a little notebook section. You can find all the notes. So if I do go a little bit fast, you can actually go back and have a look at it. Annabelle, yes, I do level 2 calculus and method algebra tutorials. I did 2 already this year. I'll be doing more after the MCAT is over. Fat Pikachu, yeah, I'm the head of department, so I decided not to do it, man. Okay, so somebody's wasting time. Question 5. Amy, even you're allowed to guess and check, but for question 5, I'm talking about Amy. You can actually do a guess and check, but I'm actually going to show you guys how to do this. Integer is like any number, can't be a decimal point. No, Fat Pikachu, not really, man. So okay, so let's get through with this question here. Now, the problem with this question is that I kind of have done this twofold here. So 8, I've got 8 and I've got 4. And I think, was it Amanda that was asking me this question earlier? So this 8 here, I'm going to rewrite this as 2 to the power of 3, like how I did in this question here. Notice how I wrote 8 was 2 to the power of 3. So I'm going to replace that with 2 to the power of 3. And if you remember, I actually said 4 was equal to 2 to the power of 2 from the previous question. So I'm going to put that as 2 to the power of 2 x. And then all of this is less than 50. Now 50 I can't actually write as 2 to the power of something. I just can't. I just leave it as 50 as it is, okay? So then what I've got is 2 to the power of 3 times 2 to the power of 2x. So 2 times x becomes 2 to the power of 2x. That's less than 50. And because the bases are the same, I can add the powers. So this is going to be 2 to the power of 2x plus 3. And this has to be less than 50. The reason I leave 50 is because I don't know what power 2 to, like what I'm trying to say is like this, like look, I know that 2 to the power of 5 is 32, and I know that 2 to the power of 6 is 64. Now if I had a calculator, yeah, I can write this as 2 to the power of something, but I don't have a calculator. We're in MCAT where we don't have calculators, so we just have to kind of go, we're trying to, yeah, so we can't actually change 50, we just leave it as it is. But what we can do though is we can actually kind of go, what is the smallest power that this entire yellow thing could be? All right, what I mean by that is, for example, if I put 2 to the power of 6, is that less than 50? Well, no, because 2 to the power of 6 is 64, and 64 is not less than 50, so this is not going to work. So the next thing that I have to look at is 2 to the power of 5. Now 2 to the power of 5, is that less than 50? Then I can say 2 to the power of 5 is 32. 32 is less than 50. Yep, that's correct. So this is going to work. That means the yellow part has to equal 5 or less. Because that basically, that whole yellow part that I've shaded in right now, the highlighted part, that number cannot be 6. It has to be 5 or less than 5. So basically, I'm going to rewrite the power, just the power, which is 2x plus 3. And it has to be less than or equal to 5. Because remember, if it does equal to 5, it actually worked out. So, but it can't equal to 6. So we have to write 2x plus 3 is less than or equal to 5. Then it just becomes straightforward after that, because all you've got to do is just rearrange it. You got 2x is less than or equal to 5. Take away 3. So 2x is less than or equal to 2. And then finally you get x is less than or equal to 2 divided by this 2 here, which is just x is less than or equal to 1. Yeah, Daniel, you can actually write your answer like that as well. Yeah, I'll be doing one tomorrow, guys, but I'll have to keep in mind I might actually just kind of shut off chat because it's a bit hard for me to concentrate on doing questions and answering questions. Can you do 2x less than 6 because it isn't included? Oh, okay, yeah. You could do it this way as well. So if you don't want to do the 5 part, you could actually do it as this way. 2x plus 3 is less than 6. So what ends up happening is 2x is less than 6 minus 3. Then you're going to get 2x is less than 3. And then x is less than 3 over 2. But for those of you guys that asked me this question, whoever was it that asked me that question? Amy, if you ask me this like this, then just remember in my original question I said that x is an integer. Because x is an integer, and here you've actually got x is less than 1.5, you need to actually say either x is less than 2 or x is less than or equal to 1. So I would actually say x is less than 2. So yeah, Braith, yes, you can actually say that. Sorry, I just saw that. What did I miss? Yep, Daniel, you can actually do that. That's fine. Why can't x be greater or equal to 2? Okay, so Ausaf Muhammad, you've asked this question of why can't x be greater than or equal to 2? So if we go back to the original question, so if you have a look here, you've got 8 times 4 to the power of, now you said x is 2, right? And look at the problem here. You've got 8 times 16, which is less than 50. That's actually false. There's no way 16 times 8 is less than 50. So that's how you can tell that that's actually not right. So somebody asked me earlier before for this question is that, can I actually guess and check? I would actually say, guys, get up to this red line here, because getting up to the red line will get you a merit. All right? Once you get to the red line, then you can actually guess and check, which will get you an excellence. Yeah, I'm just kind of cleaning up chat at the moment as well, guys. So it is a bit annoying, but Kiora, yes, I do have. There's a big playlist. There's like a MCAT prep playlist. There's heaps of a combination of word problems and kind of these types of questions there as well. Yeah, Ramez, I'll probably get to the questions you posted on Facebook later, man, because probably will try and do some in the morning tomorrow if I get some time. What did I miss? Where was Nickel? Nickel, just in terms of managing your exam time, man, like I usually say this to people, like just read the full. Sorry, I'm just going to put question 6 up first so people can actually start doing it if they want to have a go. Going back to you, Nickel, just go and read the exam paper from the start to finish, and then just put like take a pen with you and just go kind of mark down what are the questions you can do without thinking. Like I actually do something like this. I actually have a traffic light system, red, orange, green, and basically what I do is once I code all the questions, then I go and do all the questions that are marked green first. Then I go to all the questions that are marked orange because I need some time to think for it. The red ones, I usually come back to it much later towards the end of the exam. Now, I know I've had some students that go, well, what if my entire paper paper is red, then that means you haven't actually done enough practice. So you gotta do a lot more practice than that. Okay, so hopefully that helped. Kian. Yeah, man, I'll do some level 3 tutorials later on. I just getting finishing the level 1 MCAT first. Live stream from 8. Yeah, Dominic. I don't think that's gonna happen, man. I've got to wait for the kid to sleep. Kevin, word questions, just send it to my email, man, because I know a lot of people want to watch it. Will you teach statistics ever? I was supposed to teach it in 2000 and about 3 years ago, Andrew. Just haven't had the time to actually get to it. MCAT. It's all right, Kimberly. We'll get there eventually. Taranjot, you can use any. Don't use red pen. Definitely don't use red pen or green pen. Also, don't write in pencil, guys, because if you write in pencil, what happens is you can't actually send your paper for remarking. So and this is for all your exams. Just make sure you write in a black or a blue pen. No worries, Entai. All right. Who marks the MCAT? That'll be the teachers, man. All right, guys, let's get to question number 6 here. So the reason I've actually gone with 10 is because I know in the MCAT they've always used 2, 3, and 5. I've never seen them use 10 before, but just for today's sake, I thought, why not we actually use 10? Because just remember that 10 to the power of 1 is 10. 10 squared is 100. 10 to the power of 3 is 1000. Basically, just count the number of zeros and then rewrite it as powers of 10. Okay, so 10x squared, that's just going to be 10. I think the x squared, damn, sorry, I guys made a mistake. That x squared should have been up there. So that should have been 10x squared multiplied by, now 1000 is actually 10 to the power of 3 to the power of x, and that's less than 10,000, which is actually 10 to the power of 4. Yeah, see, the thing is, no one actually told me that x squared was in the wrong place. Zayden, I'm glad you picked that up, man, but didn't tell us. Anyway, let's get through this question. So it is going to end up looking like a quadratic though, because we've got 10 to the power of x squared multiplied by 10 to the power of, you got 3 times x, which is 3x, and then this is less than 10 to the power of 4. So what we've got is 10 to the power of x squared plus 3x is going to be together, and then less than 10 to the power of 4. So at this point, we've got a nice quadratic, all right? But what we have is a quadratic inequality. So basically, that means you're going to have to do that little graph thing that I was talking about earlier. And we've got the two powers equal to each other. Now, even if you don't understand the graph thing, get into the habit of actually doing this, because doing this up to here is going to get you an achieved. Then, if you actually carry on and calculate the quadratic, you might even get a merit for it. So we got x squared plus 3x is less than 4. So rearrange it. We're going to get x squared plus 3x minus 4 is less than 0. And so now we factorize these two equations. Now, remember, the reason I want to factorize it, because what I've got here is an x squared. So this entire thing is a parabola, and this parabola is going to look like this. And we want to figure out that that's 0. And we want to actually figure out when it's actually less than 0. So those are the two. Oh, come on. What is happening here, man? Jeez. Man, Man, this is frustrating, eh? When you're trying to do some work and people are just spamming you. Okay, so let's actually go back to the question here. So we got x squared plus 3x minus 4. We actually got to factorize it. So we've got x minus 4, sorry, x plus 4 and x minus 1. And the reason we want to factorize it because we want to actually find out what these 2 points are. And so to do that, we need to actually put the quadratic equals to 0, and we end up getting x plus 4 equals 0, or x minus 1 equals to 0. So x is equal to minus 4, or x is equal to positive 1. So the two little red dots that we have is negative 4 and positive 1. And because we're looking for below the x-axis, our final answer is going to look like this: minus 4 between x and positive 1. No, Zayden, remember that it's got 4 zeros, so it's going to be 10 to the power of 4, man. Yeah, I think I might have to do that tomorrow, Jay, because I've run this tutorial for the last 3 weeks. I've not had any kind of spamming issues, but today it's just been a bit annoying. I'm not sure how you got that 2 answers there, Daniel. Taranjot, you can actually use highlighters in the exams, man. Like, there's no such thing. I always say to my students that take highlighters in and just use them to your liking. What if you were looking for above? Luke, just going through that again, because I know I did a question very similar earlier, but I'll do it anyway. Basically, if you're looking for the above zone, so say for example, your quadratic actually looked, I'll actually write it in a different color, right? So if you're looking for the green part, so that's the blue part there, that's how you write it. For the green part, it'll look like this: x less than negative 4, or 1 x greater than 1. So that's what, if you're looking for the above the thing, then you've got to actually put, there'll be 2 zones. It has 2 zones. Yeah, Francine, that's how you write it. I've written it in the green color there, so you can have a look at it. No worries, James, you're welcome. Stanley, I don't know, man, I might be doing some level 2s because there's quite a few level 2s that's been asking me for help. Xavier, an integer is basically like negative 5, negative 4, positive 3. But Xavier, you can't have fractions or decimals for integers. Okay, so they're like full numbers, but they also have negative. I'm just saying, Henry. Sorry, Henry, I don't know where you put that question, man. Like, did you actually... No, I'm looking at Facebook. It wasn't at Facebook. Where did you send the message, Henry? If it's above, would it be x less than negative 4 or 1? Yes, that's correct, Kimberly, so that's fine. Braith, what mark would you get if you just said x equals negative 4 and x equals 1? Braith, if you do just that, you'd get up to a merit for that. Is the parabola is x the lowest point? No, I think, Dr. Mystic, we're looking at what are all the values that can be within that range. Andy, as I mentioned earlier, if you just put x equals... So, guys, if you get up to here, to this point, you're looking at a merit. This point here will be an excellence. Daniel, no, you can't, because in this question, you could actually have negative 3.9, for example. So you can't actually say just negative through negative those numbers there, because because the question doesn't actually tell you anything about x being integers, you can't actually say that, Daniel. Yes, thanks, Kevin. Yeah, Liz works with Miss Nedden works for me and works with me actually, and she's actually amazing for chance and data and stat stuff. Where was it? Where was it? I'll have a look, Henry, because some of the messages actually don't come through on my interface, on my user, what do you call it, the YouTube interface. Like I only get like a certain percentage of messages. So I'll try and find it, man, and if I find it, I'll answer it. All right. It helps that it's 6:33 long, but I'll have a look at it. Unknown killer. Really, do I want to say where I'm from when you got a tag like that? Now I'm from Auckland, man. Enyo, sorry, man. I'm just focusing on this at the moment. Jonathan, the reason it has to be or because there's actually two zones. So either one of those zones could actually have the value. So that's why you have to say or. You can't say and. Nickel, no, you can actually answer this question without drawing a parabola, but drawing the parabola just helps you visualize the zone that you're actually working with. Luke, that depends on the sign. So if you're looking for less than 0, it's going to be below the x-axis. If it's greater than 0, it's going to be above that 0 line. That's what it stands for. Are you going to leave this live on your channel? The chat or the questions? Kimberly, I fully agree with you on that one. That's why at our school we actually stopped doing the MCAT, because it was just pointless how kids were getting stressed out so much. No, it doesn't affect your grade at all, Pfizer. Just the parabola is just there for you to actually help out. You have to put the equation into... Andrew Kim, I would probably say it... I would actually try to write it in that format. If you can also write it in the format, but also actually write it in a statement as well if you're unsure. Now, Dominic, I've only seen like one word question come in this with like, what do you call it, with powers like this, but yeah. -4. Yes, Jonathan, that's the final answer. The light blue is the final answer. Tap, we actually do our own internal exam. All right, guys. Look, I know it's kind of getting late, but I've got one more question that I want to do. I saved the best for last, which is an annoying question. Have a look at it. I'll give you guys maybe a couple of minutes to maybe have a go at it. And then I'll actually try and show you guys how to do it. Yeah, Zayden, that's why we stopped. We stopped in 2016 because it just got too crazy after that. Is that an invisible multiplication sign there at the top? Yes, there is a multiplication sign here. Raimoja, here's a little tip for you. Look at those numbers, man. They're 3, 9, 27, 81. Just rewrite all those numbers as 3 to the power of 7 something and you get achieved. 1 achieved you only need 3 achieved to pass the paper, and you actually get 1 achieved just by rewriting that with base of 3. So what I'm talking about is, remember, if you ever see a question like this, just start writing this down. 3 to the power of 1 is 3. 3 squared is 9. 3 to the power of 3 is 27. 3 to the power of 4 is 81. These numbers are useful to remember, all right? And if you forget them, just times it by 3. So 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. 27 times 3 is 81. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to replace 9 with 3 squared. I'm going to replace 27 with 3 cubed. And I'm going to replace 3 to the power of 4 with, 81 with 3 to the power of 4. So this is going to look like this. 3 to the power of n plus 2. Now 9 is 3 squared, which is to the power of 3n, divided by 27, which is 3 to the power of 3 to the power of n, equals 81, which is 3 to the power of 4. So hopefully you can see what I've done here with 3 squared there, that's 9, 3 cubed, which is 27, and 3 to the power of 4, which is 81. Yeah, Pfizer, that's good, man. Like that just doing that part gets you guys an achieved, all right? So after that, it's just a matter of like combining things. And if you know your rules, then it becomes easy, because look at this. You got 2 times 3n, and then you got 3 times 3n. So we're going to rewrite this as 3 to the power of n plus 2, 3 to the power of 6n, because 2 times 3n right here is 6n, divided by 3 to the power of 3n, because 3 times n is 3n. And all of this is equal to 3 to the power of 4. Now, because the two bases are the same, we can actually add the powers up, and we're going to get 3n plus 2 plus 6n divided by 3 to the power of 3n, and this is all equal to 3 to the power of 4. So simplifying the power here, so I've got n plus 6n, which is equal to 3 to the power of 7n plus 2 divided by 3 to the power of 3n, and then this is all equal to 4. So once we do that, remember that we've got to subtract the powers now. So we're going to get 3, 7n plus 2 minus 3n. And all of this is equal to 3 to the power of 4. So 7n minus 3n. Let's get rid of that. So we got 7n minus 3n is going to be 3 to the power of 4n plus 2 equals 3 to the power of 4. So getting up to here, we can see that the two bases are the same. Get rid of them, and then we can say that the two powers are equal to each other. So we got 4n plus 2 equals 4. So 4n is equal to 4, take away 2. And we got 4n is equal to positive 2. And then n is equal to 2 divided by 4, which is 0.5. Now this would be an excellence question if it did come. Definitely an excellence question. Henry, you don't need to donate anything, man. I'm just doing this just to help out people, so don't worry about that. Yeah, Raimojo, hopefully that helped, man, because the thing is, all you really need to know for this type of question is your basic power rules. So if you have a m times an, then you add the powers. Then if you have divide, you subtract the powers. And then if you have powers of powers, then you multiply the powers. Those are basically the 3 rules that I actually used in this whole entire question. All right, so Raimojo, if you ever get a question like that, rewrite everything with the same base and then use these 3 rules, and then you should be good to go. Yeah, Zayden, you've Hang on, just sorry, I'm going back. I just missed that question. Yeah, Taranjot, nah, man, sleep for me because I was up at yesterday at 4:30 making videos, so that was a crazy, crazy day. Guys, that's basically it for this this tutorial at the moment. As always, if you do still have some questions, I'll hang around for 5 minutes just to answer a few questions. But apart from that, that's all for exponentials. Now tomorrow, I might just see when I'll say for now at 9 o'clock tomorrow. But if my kid goes earlier, then I'll probably start streaming earlier. Yeah, so it all depends on when the boy goes to sleep. Okay, so just to answer a few questions, Mohammed, for an overall grade of M, how many marks do we need? Okay, this is the marking grid from last year, guys, if you want to have a look at it. So as you can see, for a merit, you're looking at 3M, which means getting 3 merit questions, or yeah, that kind of explains it, Mohammed, if you want to have a look at it. LXVT, yep, no worries, mate, got it all good. Nice work, unknown. Why do you minus the powers when removing the fraction? Oscar, I'm going to go back away from the marking grid. Sorry, guys. I'll just leave it in there. I can just write over it. That's one of the rules, Oscar, that when you divide 2 bases with the same powers, sorry, 2 bases with this. Let me just show you. Who was it? Oscar. This is why we actually when we have a to the power of m divided by a to the power of n, then you've actually got to go subtract. All right, that's just one of the index rules. That's why we minus the powers when removing the fraction. All right, yeah. So that I hope that made sense. Andy, your answer is fine. Nathan, stream tomorrow. Mohammed, I've just shown you. Yep, as long as you get half as the final answer, James, you're fine. Now fractions are okay, guys. It's all good. No worries. You're welcome, Max. Jeez, Mohammed, you keep asking the same question. Where was I? Where did I miss it? Jeez, these things go fast. Sorry, guys, just still catching up from messages. What happens if you times the 3n and bring it to the other side? What does he mean by that? Times the 3n on the other side. Yeah, you could do that as well. Who was it that asked that question? Lynn. Yeah, then what you would get is something like 7n plus 2 equals 4 plus 3n. That would work. You'd still end up with the same answer. Nah, no worries, Nickel, man. Just look after yourself and look after the family. Don't worry about me. I'm fine here. No worries, Dr. Mystic. You're all good, man. What does the upside down A symbol mean? Upside down A symbol? I'm not sure what you're talking about, Andrew, but I'll have a look at it. Zubair, you might get like exponential questions. They're like 2 or 3, but like only last year was the first time they had one of these exponential quadratic questions. So that's why I spend a lot of time on it, because those exponential quadratic questions, they can't really put it in context. Like they can't make it as a word question because it's just really hard to make it into a word question. But if they do make it into a word question, then that's just mean. That's all I can say. Mohammed, I know you keep asking the same question. I hope I've answered it. You guys are welcome. No worries. No worries, Zayden. Okay. No worries. Sorry, I'm just still going through the question just to try and figure out any questions that I miss out. Okay, Taranjot. Sorry, I just need an explanation on greater than 0. That symbol, Taranjit, basically it means this. when you have, so basically the arrow is actually pointing to the smallest number, which means this one, you're looking for a number bigger than 0. And then if it's pointing away from the arrow, from 0, then you're looking for a number smaller than 0. Hopefully this helps. Unknown Killer, yeah, I'll actually convert this as a, like it gets uploaded as a video, so you'll find it in one of my main pages as the streams. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Unknown. It does kind of get saved up. Yeah, so in my channel, just if you go to homepage, just below the MCAT section, you guys should be able to see the past live streams. It just gets stored there, and I also store it in a playlist for you guys. Kimberly, word questions, I just need the word questions. I don't have the time at the moment to actually write my own. No worries, you're welcome. Top, you don't get the exam results back till January, man. That's the way it is. Nickel, they're like face reveal. Man, there's like an entire video there, isn't there? Where is it? Oh, unless I've taken it off. Yeah, I think I have. Nah, Nickel, yeah, there's a video of me in there, man, doing crazy stuff. 2K20. Nah, Kimberly, don't worry about it. Just look after yourself, man. Dimension questions. Yeah, Kenny, I think I might... Andy, you're fine, man. You're fine to putting n equals to half. That's all good. Kenny, I'll have a look, man, because I did find a website recently with a couple of what do you call it, websites. I'll have a look at it. Mohammed, going back to your question. Hang on, let me just find it. Where was it? I think you can only get, they only give out a maximum of 2 merits per question, Mohammed. So if you want to get a merit, you can get like a 2M in one question and 1M in another question. So jeez, missed it. There we go. Questions. Yep. What time are you streaming tomorrow? As I said, Unknown Killer scheduled at 9 o'clock, but I might come a bit earlier depending on what time my kid goes to sleep. Zubair, marking grid changes, man. Like, they always change it up here and there, so... Oh, good. How many excellence questions? Yeah, so for excellence questions, it looks like you guys need 3E or more from 2 or more questions, or a total of 2E and 2M. There you go. Hopefully that helps. Zafira. Zayden, they usually have about 15 or 16 questions. No, Made Expert, you need 3, I think each question you can get a maximum of 2M. Kevin, for your excellence questions, sometimes, like I'll give you an example. In 2016, they ended up changing the exam paper so much, the answer schedule so much, that they had like 9 or 10 excellence questions. So they also changed the grid itself depending on a sample marking that they do at the beginning. So no one really knows, but the one thing we do know is that the maximum per question that you can get is either 2M, 2E, or 2A. 2K16, boy, I suck at that game. Like, I mean, I played 2K6. That was the last 2K game that I played. Lynn, I wouldn't recommend it, man. Like, I wouldn't recommend using an erasable pen. Made Expert, I hope I answered that question. Yeah, I've seen that symbol. Let me just check it out. Like, I just can't remember off the top of my head. Answered most of those questions. I hope not, Ashley, because that would be stink. Okay, everyone's asking the same question. That's all fine. You live on Cavendish Drive. Yeah, close enough because that's where my plane goes every freaking time I'm making a video. Yes, Mohammed, you theoretically are supposed to get your exam results as it's an external exam, so you get it in January. Stanley, to answer your question, Stanley, I actually used this rule for that. Did you say, Mohammed, that the way that works is like the MCAT is worked as an external exam, so that's why they always give it to you guys at the end of the year when you get rest of your results. Oh man, I think I skipped through a few messages. Oh no, here we go. 16 to the power of 4x minus 3. Unknown, I think there's a question like that I've done. So just check back to my tutorials. I basically, this is my 7th tutorial I'm running. I think the first one and the 4th one that I've run so far this year covers questions like that. Damian, probably be doing it around 9. If my kid goes to sleep early, then yeah, probably earlier, man. Upside down A. Let's have a look. What the hell does this upside down A mean? Predict logic. Quantification symbol. Ah, man, I need to go read up on that upside down A. I did it back in university, so. Could I get a link to the OneNote without the link shortener? AVB. Is the link not working for the OneNote? I thought it was. Please tell me it's working. It's a long ass link, AVB. I think the link shortener should work because I just checked it out now and it does work. I know my kid is 2 years old, man. Like, I just want him to have a normal life. Okay. Where are we up to? Ryan, yes, the MCAT is marked by the school. Is your child transit? What the hell? There's always somebody. Do you have any like basic stuff that we might need to know for the test? LXVT, I would say know things like area of rectangle, area of circles. Yeah, just some. It's hard to say because it's like some of the basic stuff you guys are expected to know, like perimeter and things like that. Simran Pete, I've got no idea. Honestly, it's pretty kept. It's a bit of a secret, as in like even us teachers, we try and predict how crazy the questions are going to be like. But yeah, we can't really tell. Andrew, if the upside down A does come up, because I mean, like I did that in university, man. Like I don't think, like they'll actually give you some kind of explanations. Um, Elisa, it's one day. You do it one day. Thanks, Jay, for checking that link. You're on mobile. Okay, so I'm not sure, Beck, why it's not working. I know it's working on a web browser. Okay, guys, I think that's majority of the questions. I will catch you guys tomorrow. So as I said, 9 o'clock we'll be there. I think I finally caught up with the end of the messages. That's me for the night. Have a good night, guys. Get some rest. Do some practice tomorrow, and let's see what Tuesday brings us. No worries. Catch you later, guys.